All right, 37. There it is. Cool. Hey guys. How's it going? I didn't calibrate which mic I'm using at all, so let's kind of play around with this just a little bit, and we'll probably unplug it. I'm Tony Hannity's, and this is Tony's Tech Talk, episode 7. We're going to be talking about something fairly major that was announced today regarding the FCC and the net neutrality rules. But before we get to that, there's a few fun things that I wanted to talk about, and the first thing actually does have to deal with Flappy Bird. So if you all remember Flappy Bird, it's that all-addictive game that everybody's been playing, and whether you cared anything about it or not, it was one of those apps where you downloaded, and whether you got into it or not, that was your own prerogative and whatnot. I got 94 gates passed, and the other highest that I've seen, real, not fake ones, was like 107 or something like that. So that's pretty cool. But the developer of that game, Don Nguyen, and his team actually went to Twitter today, and they announced a new game. Well, I wouldn't say they announced a new game, but they kind of showed off a screenshot of what this new game, what it looks like. So it looks like another platformer, basically a side scroller. And this time it still looks like there's, clouds in the background, but instead of a bird, it looks like a little 8-bit character, if you will. And I don't want to say that this kind of looks like what's that Gravity game where you got the guy, that Gravity guy? I think that's what it's called, Gravity guy. That he flips upside down and right side up, and he avoids different obstacles, and it's basically a side scroller. And it's really, really addictive, and it's a lot of fun. I think originally it was a Flash game, and now it's finally on the mobile platform. But it's one of those games that, very much similar to Flappy Bird, you really get intense into it. And this kind of, based off what I can see off that screenshot, that might be what it is, but we won't really know until probably later on this summer. Now, talking about Flappy Bird, Nguyen actually did say that Flappy Bird is coming back, but it's going to be a little bit different, plus it's going to be a little less addictive. So whatever the case may be, however he's bringing it back, it is coming back. But the question that I have is I wonder how much money he's going to be making from it, because as we know, although he removed Flappy Bird from the app stores for individuals like myself that play the official Flappy Bird application, and then I'm being fed ads ever so often, Nguyen is making money from that. And I think he went from like 50,000 a day down to, I don't know, 10,000. I mean, it's still a buttload of money that I'm probably never going to see doing the jobs that I'm doing right now. Who knows in the future? But it is what it is, and hopefully the next application, the next game that he pushes out, stands the test of time and is even better than what Flappy Bird is. And that's the thing, like, there's so much emphasis on how stupid and how simple Flappy Bird is that all these other cloners, if you will, they're trying to do their own thing. There was Flappy Doge, I think it was. Basically, it was the Doge face it was a dog, and he flies through the air. And then there was the complete opposite, where the goal of it was the gates closed in on the bird, and your goal was to kill as many birds as possible. And there's a lot of blood and things like that. It was still 8-bit. But yeah, we will find more out as it comes along. Next up, Google has announced something quite interesting regarding how you buy your apps. Now, right now, if you are an Androider and you have an app that you want to purchase, you can either pull out your credit card, you can earn free money from Google's Opinions / survey app that's downloadable. You can steal your best friend's credit card for a couple of minutes. You can get a gift card. But it was all kind of intertwined within Google Wallet. And Google Wallet also has its own card. Now, I think they might have pulled the physical card from mass production, but I think it's still out there. Like, if you still have a card, you can still use it. But they were trying to compete in that prepaid credit card thing with NFC, and I don't really think they're doing too well in that. And but I do think that they realize that people are less and less open to putting a credit card number in to another service. Most people also have a service called PayPal. So now you can actually use your PayPal account to buy Google apps and Google games and anything from the Google Play Store. So if you want to buy, for example, the new Wolverine movie or Pacific Rim, you could, instead of putting your MasterCard or ATM card, or what for that matter, you can just log in with PayPal, and whatever cards you have associated with PayPal, it will just generate in there, and the developer doesn't have to do anything different. The developer will still get their, whatever the split is, 70-30, I forget what it is, but they'll still get their cut, and then Google basically has cut a deal between them and PayPal. So as a developer, you shouldn't be making any less money. As a user, you now just have an option. You can still use Google Wallet, you can still use Google gift cards and whatever else that you might be using, but now you have this additional option to use PayPal. And I don't know about you, but I use PayPal on a lot of cases, and when I see the option to pay with PayPal, I'd rather do that, because if something does come up, if there is fraud involved, I can just contact PayPal and say, hey, give me my money back. And 9.5 times out of 10, I get the money back, and they're really, really good about it, and they don't give me too much guff about it. So that's cool. It's going to be a good thing, I think, for everybody. Does this put Google Wallet on the back burner? Does this basically say to Google, people aren't going to give money to Google directly, through services like this? So stop trying to rest your laurels on it and outsource to other companies. No. It just means that maybe whatever they learn from this, they can benefit from it, or they just have a long-term standing contract and relationship with PayPal, which isn't a bad thing. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. And so, yeah, if you've got PayPal, you got Android, and you want to buy that app or you want to buy that song, let us know. Let us know if it's hard. Let me know. I guess me, because this is my show. Let me know if it's a hard thing to do. If it's way too many steps once you got it all connected. Let me know if it's a little of a nuisance to get everything dealt with. Also, HTC announced the One Mini 2. Now, I didn't say that wrong. It is literally called the One Mini 2. So over here on Fandroid.com, we've got a picture of it. And yes, it very much looks like the HTC One M8, except, as you'll notice, there's no additional camera on the top, on the rear. Otherwise, we're looking at a 4.5-inch, 720p HD display, Snapdragon 400 quad-core chipset, and 1 GB of RAM. Camera on the back is a 13 megapixel, so it's not the ultra pixel, and the front still has the 5 megapixel as well. It's running Sense 6.0, so you'll still have all that, all those features that they were kind of showing off in Sense. And if you want that kind of depth of field focus capability, it's got KitKat, so you can just download the Google camera. And I would just use the Google Camera app. I think a lot of people, even individuals like Gina Trapani, who has I believe the Google edition of the M8, uses the Google Camera versus the M8 camera. So that's that's telling, I think. It also has all the basic specifications of NFC, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, LTE, GPS, all that stuff. 2100 milliamp battery. And it rakes in about 16 hours of talk time, which is pretty good. And, well, that's on 3G, mind you. Because that's the thing. 3G here in the United States, we barely hear about it. But this is important because this isn't going to the United States. This is actually, at least for now, this is going to be available for the markets in North Asia. And probably not here. So we'll see. It's going to be going out on sale in June. So next month. So if you were to purchase this, I don't think they've announced any prices or anything like that. Excuse me. Any prices or anything like that. But yeah, if you're a fan of HTC, but you just felt the M8 was just way too big and you want something a little bit smaller but similar characteristics and capabilities, just be aware it doesn't have the 1080p display, it doesn't have the ultra pixel, but maybe what you care about is just the overall look and aesthetics of it. Just you want something a little bit smaller. So where's my M8? So here's my M8. It's right here. And so this shrunk down just a little bit. In my hand, the M8 is perfect. This one, the new HTC Mini 2, no, sorry, HTC One Mini 2, if you say that fast enough, you don't even know what phone you're talking about. But the HTC One Mini 2, I don't know, it might be good for, well, people that just don't want big screens. Here in the United States, we're getting to the mentality bigger is better. We talked about this with the iPhone 6 possibly getting a 5.5-inch screen. But in other countries like Europe, Asia, bigger is interesting, but a lot of people just want a standard 4-inch to 4 to 5-inch screen, and this 4.5-inch screen might be the perfect size, right on the money for them. So that's cool. Also, lastly, I'm not going to really dive into this too much because I'm not too sure about how it all works. I just downloaded it, but we talked about this before too. The new app by Foursquare called Swarm is now available for both Android and iOS. It is free. It essentially is the new, well, I don't want to call it the new check-in app, but the Facebook app now essentially will not do check-ins anymore. So if you are the type of person that wants to check in and become the mayor of every place that you go to, you're going to want to download Swarm. And it's got some pretty cool features, like this one where it's called neighborhood sharing, where basically at your beck and call, you can swipe neighborhood sharing on and off. As you can see by the screenshot here, you can turn it off anytime just by swiping right to your profile, and you'd be able to see how far away somebody that happens to be on your friends list, how far away they are. Now, we've seen this before. There's been a number of, I think the other one was Sonar or something like that. Facebook has their own version now, basically called Nearby Friends, and this is Foursquare's version of it too. So, options are good options, and I am excited to give it a go. Like I said, I haven't fully gotten into it, but we will we'll definitely give a shot on the Note 3 just for a little bit while I still have it. Now, I actually have a question in the Q&A here. So for those of you that are watching, there is a Q&A live, so you can go in there, type in a question, I'll try to address it. Rahil, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Tell me about the fall of Symbian, of the Symbian OS. So basically, developers didn't develop for it, and OEMs and ODMs aren't going to make money off of something that no one's developing for, and consumers aren't buying. So it might have been good for some people, but the fact of the matter is, it's going the way of the dodo bird, just like how Amigo is, and WebOS, and Palm OS, and well, by the looks of it, BlackBerry. I think it was a statistic that came out either today or yesterday that stated here in the United States, BlackBerry is actually taking a backseat to Windows Phone, which is pretty amazing because I'm talking North America. I'm not just saying the United States. It's North America, including Canada, where BlackBerry is from. So, Windows is from here in the States, but BlackBerry is, you go up to Canada, especially in the Waterloo area, everybody has a BlackBerry. Even the little baby has a BlackBerry. But in terms of the fall of Symbian OS, yeah, like you mentioned Symbian these days to a developer, like, oh yeah, I used to develop on that. It's a past tense thing. So yeah, it's a shame, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and move on to the last thing that I really didn't want to talk about because I feel that my knowledge on the situation is there, but it's not as concrete as some other people. But I will make this as clear-cut and as concise as I can regarding what the FCC decided today and what they essentially came in. Well, it was an agreement because it was a 3-2 decision. It wasn't unanimous. But let's take a quick break and thank our sponsors. Water. So, I want you to imagine a world where you can go to pages, websites, services like Twit, Hulu, Netflix, and no problem whatsoever. But there's a new startup in town, and they may or may not do the exact same thing, but they have something that they feel can be beneficial to the public, and they want to, get it out there. They want to compete in the media market, in the content market, especially streaming their content throughout the internet. Now, they are startups, so they don't have much money. So to compete against the likes of Netflix and Hulu, as it stands right now, they just have to have a very compelling business plan or a very compelling feature that you can't get from Netflix. Maybe it's original content. Maybe it's all the Star Wars movies plus expanded universe stuff and all this other stuff that it's all brought into just this one particular website. And as it stands right now, that's cool. You can go there, you can watch it, you can pay a little bit through Patreon, whatever it is, whatever the case may be. And they get funding. That's awesome. With the new ruling that was proposed by the FCC, especially Tom Wheeler, who is the chairman of the FCC, basically says that they have agreed that the proposal of internet fast lanes is essentially a good idea. Now, what a fast lane is that a company like Hulu, like YouTube, like Netflix can pay ISPs more money because the ISPs deem it so to be able to get the content to the customers at a viable speed. So you go to YouTube and the speed will be fine. You go to Netflix, your speed will be fine. You go to this other startup company, we'll just call it sci-fi-stream.com. They're new. They don't have the money to get a good connection, a good stream, and therefore you're not going to check them out anymore because you want to have a decent stream. You want to have high res. If not even high res, you want to have standard definition, and it's a possibility that because they're not paying this premium, they're not paying the monthly stipend or whatever it is that the ISP deems it be. So you're going to get maybe a download speed of very, very slow. It's going to be throttled. It's going to feel like it's throttled, and you might think, oh, this is my internet connection. Well, it is, but there's nothing wrong with your connection. It's just that the internet, the ISPs decided you send your browser to this particular website, it slowed down because they haven't paid the monthly cost. This directly affects us at LazyTechGuys.com because we use CDNs. I forget who our CDN is, but our host is Rackspace. Rackspace is very commonly known. They're very good at what they do. But let's just say that because we are an up-and-coming, we're essentially startup, and we're competing against a ton of other companies in the tech journalist forum as well, too, that might have a little bit more funding than we do. And if this comes to the point where Rackspace comes down to us and say, hey, we need more money out of you guys, not just to host, but also to get faster and better connection, then we can guarantee more traffic to your sites. They can basically almost put any dollar amount to that, and we are so green and grassroots that we might not be able to afford that. And so if you turn your browser to LazyTechGuys.com, it might take 20 seconds for the site to load, and an extra 30 seconds for video to load. These are worst case scenarios, but nothing's stopping it from happening. So it can slow down innovation. It's going to be a very unfair internet. This is it can be, there is a fast internet and there is a slow internet. Now Tom Wheeler says there is not a fast internet. There's just one internet. I think he's very confused as to how this fast lane works, because there will be, if this does go through, there will be a fast internet for these specific websites and a slow experience for all the other websites that can't pay the monthly price or whatever it is. So who's in favor of this? Well, obviously the ISPs are. But other companies, other big name companies such as Google, Microsoft, Reddit, Amazon, Netflix even, they've all basically sent an open letter as a group to the FCC, essentially saying this kills net neutrality. This is a bad idea. The internet was not made to have different levels of how you can get your content. It is just one level, one speed. There shouldn't be any regulation of this should be faster than the other site. It should just, what deems the quickness should be based off of your CDN, how your site is built. If there's a bunch of code that doesn't need to be there, just erase it, get rid of it, but not something that that the government steps in and regulates. This is a very bad move on the FCC's part, but it's not in law yet. It's the bill hasn't been passed. What has been passed is essentially the proposal to allow fast lanes. So don't think that when you go tomorrow to Netflix that everything's going to be super slow, or if you go to like Crunchyroll or Anime Network, it's going to be super slow. It may or may not be. If it is, it's probably not, has nothing to do with this. But that could be the case in a year from now, because they are going to be ruling on this in full closer to the end of the year. So I believe they have 60 days of like deliberation and public commenting. So in the next 60 days, everybody who is affected by this, which is all of you, need to contact the FCC. Now here's the thing. If you're an international viewer of my show, you're saying, well, this doesn't affect me. I'm in India, or I'm in Portugal, or I am in the Antarctic, and my best friends are penguins, and we love your show, but I'm not going to be affected. Yes, you are. This affects world news and everything. So this not affects world news, but this affects the world, the rest of the world. The internet, the decisions on this can sway how you guys see the internet, and how other countries decide how their ISPs can regulate the internet too. Yeah, so as Bruce has said in the comment section here, the 3-2 vote is now set for a 60-day hearing, comment. So here's what you can do. Instead of ranting and raving, because that's one thing I love about the internet, we can voice our opinion, but the voice that we have can only go so far. My show is live, so if somebody from the FCC is watching right now, hey, how's it going? Fix this now. But most likely they're not watching, and they're most likely not going to watch my show after the fact, and they're most likely for the next 60 days going to try and stay away from social media because they're going to hate their job. But what can we do? So my colleague actually sent me over something on Reddit, if I can find it here. You can do a number of things. You can call the FCC, and let me just share this real quick, because this is actually something that, if you're going to watch this show after the fact, this is something that you might want to take down. So you can call the FCC here in the United States, 888-225-5322. Press 1, 4, and then 0, and then you'll be connected directly to an agent, and then you can voice your opinion. Also, I do want to point out here, I apologize for any of the swear words that are on this page here. If there's any viewers that are underage that shouldn't be looking at those words, parents, I'm sorry. Here we go. There's also this right here. This is a... If you prefer to send your comments in an email fashion, you can click 1428, and 1428 is actually number 1, and this is that's the preceding number. And then once you click on there, you can then file your grievance and explain in here about your comments and why you think this decision to allow internet fast lanes is a good or bad idea. Most likely you think it's a bad idea, and I hope you do. You can send petitions to the White House. There's change.org, but those usually don't really get much interest. And then for international users, so this is something that's interesting. I think this is more of just some guy that kind of threw this together, but it is a pro-internet community, and it allows you to basically sign a petition of sorts that they would be sending in saying, hey, I'm not from the United States, but I think what you're doing is a bad thing, and I'm not the only one that feels the same way. So this here is, again, if the URL is basically openmedia.org/slowlanes. That's for the international viewers there. And then if you want to go to the fcc.gov/comments, this is where you can leave your comments at the proceedings 14-28. All right. Now, there's also been some proposals to do something similar to what we did with PIPA and SOPA, which is go dark. This is how the internet would be if you don't voice your opinion. This is basically the situation here. If you do not voice your opinion to the FCC and enough of you don't do anything, this is what's going to happen. It's going to be you would not like it's happened because the Google. So that's a bad imitation, but you get my point. It's going to be stuttery. It's going to be slow. I would say companies like my colleagues over at Twit, they are sponsored by a number of big companies, but they are what you would call grassroots to a certain degree. They do as much as they can in-house, and if this goes through, I'm not saying they wouldn't pay the money to get a faster connection. I think they would have to, because a lot of us rely on Twit for our daily news and this and that, but they don't want to. No one wants to. I mean, in the content creation business, no one really wants to have to spend more money just to get the content out to the customers. It's just a bad deal all around. So that's me for right now. I'm going to step off the soapbox here. Let me just step off. Okay. See what I did? I got shorter because I stepped off the soapbox. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments regarding this, not SOPA, sorry, the FCC Internet Fast Lane, I would definitely, do your own research. Try to see where they're coming from too, because there's definite lobbyists out there that say, the regulation is a good thing. You don't think regulation is a bad word. Regulation allows this, and it allows us to maintain and make sure everybody's getting a fair share. Well, it's not, and then you can voice your opinion to them and say it's not a fair share because blah 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 blah. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's been a pleasure to voice how I feel about what's going on with this, and hopefully more and more people out there, not just tech heads, but more everyday people like my mother-in-law, who's not tech knowledgeable, but this would definitely affect her. I hope she shares stuff on Facebook so all of her friends find out, and I hope people like Ellen, she says something. She's a content creator. Her I don't know if her network would allow her to or not, but yeah, we will definitely see. 60 days, open comments. You, the public, you got the voice. You guys take care. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments related to this show or any other show, let me know here below here on YouTube or on Google+, Tony Hannity's, or hit me up on Twitter, LTG Tony. You guys take care, stay classy, and I will see you later. Peace.